And we are live. This is Triumph, a TD TV original. Ow!
All right. So I'm back, y'all. I have a new friend on air today, and his name is Perris Jones. And how I found him was I was basically just scrolling through TikTok, and the algorithm kind of just matches you up with people that I guess have the same interest or whatnot. So I noticed that, he was giving like this fire message. I was like, okay, let me click this. Found out he was like a news reporter and all this stuff. I've always wanted to be a news reporter when I was younger. So I had to reach out after I saw this one specific video with him spitting the truth. So, Paris, can you introduce yourself and just tell us where you're from and a little bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. So, my name is Perris Jones. Originally from Jacksonville, Florida, um, and went to Florida A&M University. After there, I started my TV news career and been around a lot of places throughout the country: Louisiana, Oklahoma, Washington D.C. And then I left um, D.C. and started, my music career, which I've been doing since I was 18, really, just behind the scenes. Nobody really knew about it. And now I'm in the Atlanta area trying to do my own thing, whether that's music, acting, my videos on TikTok and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just like I'm trying to be, have that brand as myself and not work up under anybody.
Absolutely.
So
Piece up, A Town down. I'm kind of like in the same situation you are. I'm like talented and like in many different areas of my life. So it's kind of like your person, are your own brand. You can do it all.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And that's the way it seems like it's going, in 2024 and up. Is like a lot of people are getting this way. And I think, and we'll probably talk about it later, it's just a part of where society is at. People are kind of tired of, everything that's going on with these jobs and stuff, and they're trying to do their own thing.
Well, let me tell you, it's so refreshing to like find somebody that is on like kind of like the same walk I am and like is talented in multi different areas and just kind of over society.
Right. A
No,
lot
for
of people are
real.
waking up, man. It's like, why are we why are we doing what they've been telling us to do when it's not really working?
Absolutely. Before we get on that,
Yeah,
because that's what I really want to talk about. How long were you a news reporter?
about 7 years.
In which state did you live in when you did that?
So I did it a little bit when I was in Florida, just in school and internships, then in Louisiana, in Oklahoma, and then in Washington D.C.
I moved so much as well. I've lived in Tennessee, then I went to California, then I went to Texas. Now I'm in Arizona, so I've been kind of all over the place.
Yeah,
Um, do you miss it at all?
no, 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 not at all. I think what I do miss is probably my first job out of school, and that was just because I think of the pureness of it. Um, like that was before I was really awakened to what the industry was. And when you're a lot of times when you're in those smaller markets, they take journalism more seriously, and it's not as what's the word I'm looking for? Like it's not as hmm, I don't know how to describe it. Like it's more pure in a way where they don't really focus on ratings as much as the bigger cities do. It's very competitive in those bigger cities, and so a lot of times you can sacrifice integrity for views, and I just didn't like that. Whereas in that first market I was in out of school, it was to me the probably some of the best work I was able to do, just given um, you didn't have to worry about time limits as much, and then what story is going to hit versus the other station because
Right.
of ratings and stuff. So
Yeah. So like what I'm noticing in so many different industries, the same thing is happening, just in different forms. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
the people that have been there the longest get to run the show, and like, you know, they look over the real issues, and some people are being reprimanded while others are not. And um yeah, it's just it's crazy to finally get to talk to someone who used to do like the news realm and like in that career, and just to know that like all of that goes on as well is crazy to me.
yeah.
Okay, so bringing up this video that I saw, the one where you were, it wasn't a name to the video, it was just like you do it by episodes, but it was the one
Yeah.
where you were standing outside. It was, oh, it was the TikTok, it was about TikTok, them banning TikTok. Can we
Mhm.
talk about that?
Sure.
Okay, so like I got to watch that video and I agreed with everything that you were saying, and like I could see like the frustration kind of building up as the video went on, and and like I don't know, I just could relate to you on everything that you were saying. It's like people don't understand how it really feels to be a black person in this country.
Right,
And
right.
now in a world of fakes and phonies, pretty much, it's like you just laid it all out there. Like you didn't care who heard, or you know, you didn't have really any filter with that message. Do you like what caused you to post that? What like
Um,
what made you?
well, I think I didn't really see it as like anything different from what I usually say or do. I think I've just always been that way. Even as a journalist, I was that way. Like if you go down my Twitter and look at how a tweet, it'll be the same way, and it would resonate with who it was supposed to resonate with. And a lot of times the bosses didn't like it, but they couldn't really tell me anything because at the end of the day, it was truth. So that's like what I focus on is like pro truth. That's what I really am. And so when you
Amen.
do that, it's like people can't really say they know it's true. They know it is, but it's like nobody wants to really say it, you know?
That's the point where I'm at too. It's like how many times do people are people just going to sit back and watch people get treated unfairly, and how many times are people just going to not speak up when it's like time to? It's really going to take more than, I feel like, people like us to say things. It's going to take people of other races standing
Yeah.
up and saying what is right. And I don't know. I just feel like people are afraid. I get it. People don't want to lose their jobs. People don't want to be frowned upon by society. But at the same time, I I don't see this getting any better soon.
No, I think it's going to get worse. And like I said in the video, we need these everybody else to step up because we can only do so much by ourselves. Even if you look at the civil rights movement, that stuff doesn't happen without the help of other races.
Absolutely.
So it's the same thing today. Like we're not going to get anything done by ourselves. First of all, we're too divided to get anything done ourselves. So it's like, how are we supposed to do this by alone?
And you know what I'm noticing too is, like, I'm just gonna keep it real. Like, I'm noticing division amongst um black people in within each
Yeah.
other. And
Right.
it's, you know, I'm big on my faith. I love God, and I'm noticing division when it comes to in the church as well. So it's just not, I don't know. It's refreshing to me to find somebody out there that's kind of like on the same walk as I am, but unfortunately, we need more people to stand up and say the right thing. So I'm
Yeah.
happy that there are people out there like yourself that aren't afraid to lay down the truth.
Well, let's get real about the reason why people are like that is because they worship money. That's really the reason why. If they didn't worship money, they will probably be in the truth too. But when you get to a point where you say, "All right, I don't really care about it. I need to speak the truth no matter what," you know, it's just different, you know. And once people get to the point where they stop worshiping money, I think we'll see a change. But I don't think that's going to happen in our lifetime. You know.
You know, I always thought when I was younger that I was going to be like a part of that generation or like a group that was going to make a change in this world. And I didn't think it would be this way. I didn't think it would
Yeah.
be like, I thought it was going to be the entire generation like us, like, you know, black people, white people, Hispanic people, all of us coming together. But instead, it's just really a one in a thousand type
Yeah.
situation. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's by design.
Yeah. You were saying something earlier that I wanted to comment on. I forgot. Anyways, so with that being said, where do you stand in all of this? Like, are you just kind of trying to like ride it out until you figure out where what your next step is, or have you already figured out like what you want to do moving forward in your life?
I'm just following Christ, following God, and wherever direction He takes me in, that's where I'm going to go. You know, I think that the answer lies within that, and so that's why I'm not really pressed about anything really, because at the end of the day, I know He's not going to lead me to a place that's, you know, I don't want to be in. If anything, like once you start following Him, life gets a little bit easier, even if you're dealing with a whole bunch of stuff. So you have this inner peace and joy, knowing that, you know, you'll be all right. So
Absolutely. I love that answer because I'm kind of like on that same path right now. Um, I everything in my life that I once knew is kind of shifting into another direction, and it's like happening right before my eyes. So it's one of those things where like it's so many problems that it's like, okay, I'm a just get my eyes focused on God, get my
yeah,
eyes focused on peace, and listen to that little voice inside that, you know, keeps me focused on what truly matters. Um, it. Hold on one second. It was the money thing. That's what I wanted
yeah.
to talk about earlier. So yeah, no, when you were talking about that, about how people are worshiping money, I had all these things pop up in my head when in certain circumstances where I may have been upset or things weren't going well for me, and people just try to like throw me money to cover it up. And it's just like, no, 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 no. You don't get it. Like I'm not.
Yeah,
Money is not obviously. It eases my mind whenever I have a plethora of money
right.
because I
Yeah,
don't have to worry about bills and things like that. But the bigger picture of it is like you're just throwing money at me to shut me up. Like that's not going to help the situation. The problem is what we are addressing, and it's like people just don't get it, and I just don't know.
yeah.
I don't know how this world is going to keep on revolving if people don't make a change.
Yeah. And I see it this way. Money is necessary. Money is a defense, but money is also a weapon used both ways. You know, so money can be used to shut you up. Money can be used to get somebody else to shut you up. And but at the same time, we need to know that you can't love it. You can't have a love for money and material things in this world because it's going to lead to your downfall. And a lot of people, and you see in this world all the time, people do, they literally sell their souls for money, you know, and it's not literally you giving your soul, but it's like you going against your values for money. And what does that say about you as a person if you're willing to do that, you know? And I think it's kind of just sad that we've become this way, but that's really just the American way. It's,
I
you know,
know it's it. The other day I was just pondering because I'm often alone, so I have a lot of time to think, and I was just like reminiscing on some of the old times in my life where I um, lived back at home and things were just a lot different than they were now. And it just seemed as if everything was calm over here. Like we were like this great nation and things just were like all happy go lucky. But in hindsight, it was really covered up on so many aspects and so many levels
Yeah.
of the nonsense that was going on behind the scenes. And now that, you know, the internet is so fluent in information, we can easily look that stuff up and realize that we were being played the whole time.
Yeah, it's like the movie The Matrix, man. Once that veil is lifted, you never look at it the same. And it's like you think about it, like, man, millions of people, hundreds of millions of people fell for this American propaganda for so long. It's like they were whoever was in power and thought of all this stuff were geniuses. The way they marketed all these things that were literally killing us.
Do
And
you think
so,
do you think that has something to do, like in the Bible when it talks about the Egyptians? Do you think that a part of that? I don't know if you ever thought that deep into it, but like how the Egyptians had like these secret. Um, I know it references in the Bible sometimes, like the magicians from
yeah.
the yeah. Do you think that has something to do with like all of this tying in together, or no?
Well, I know it also says that um, how Satan deceives the whole world, and I think that's what we're really seeing. It's like he's created a delusion that's so strong that you don't know what's right from wrong sometimes. And like it says, he comes as an angel of light.
Hmm.
So you don't even know. Like people think the American way is just great. Meantime, these other countries think we're horrible, and they've really just brainwashed people into thinking like we're just this great country that does no wrong and we're the hero. But in reality, we're actually the villain. We're the villain to people who live here.
Exactly. I took a trip to Australia in 2019, and I was just amazed by like their culture and just how they conducted themselves and all that good stuff. So I was I was there for 2 weeks, and I ended up talking to one of the people that live there or whatnot, and they were like, "Oh, you're from America? Like, how do you like it? X, Y, and Z." And they were like, "Americans watch the news." They were like, "We don't watch the news here because it's all propaganda." And back then, it didn't like this was before COVID had happened, and um, I wasn't really thinking of how life is now. And I was just like, "Oh yeah, like no big deal." But now I totally see why they said that, why that comment was made. It was like, wow, they were
Yeah,
100% right. It's
and I can
script.
tell you, like, I can tell you firsthand, um, the news is propaganda for the most part, and more so like the national stories. That's propaganda, and even some of the local stories, like, um, they want to create a certain narrative about certain groups, certain demographics, and how they see the country, but it's not reality a lot of times. If you go to watch the first 10 minutes of any newscast, what are you going to see? You're going to see death, destruction, violence, and it's because they have a rule that goes, if it bleeds, it leads. Because they think this is what people want to see. They want to see drama. They want to see chaos. They want to see death. They want to see corruption. And but you have to understand, like, they have like little focus groups and studies, and this is what people want to see. So part of it is the viewers as well. And a lot of times when you try to pitch good stories, it gets shut down. Or when you are covering stories in a way that doesn't fit that propaganda narrative, they change your script and make you say things a certain way. And sometimes you like, I would just say, no, I'm not saying that, or I'm not doing that. But a lot of journalists are afraid of losing their jobs, so they won't, and they'll
Right.
go along with the propaganda. And that's just a lot of times it comes down. Like for instance, if you're a local station, you get a lot of your news and scripts from CNN or NBC or CBS, or you get your scripts from them, like the national stories. That's where they get the scripts from. They're not
Wow.
writing it themselves. So you don't know, you really don't know, like, people don't understand, like, it's a huge um propaganda like circle.
Like
you
it
know,
starts from here and then
and trickles down.
yes,
Yeah,
okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Wow, that's crazy to think about. It's like they're just making people like puppets. It's like
yeah,
they're not. It's nothing genuine coming from it, and they're pitching out fear on top of
right,
that. So it's like you are telling a nation to basically run for their lives because it's killings and shootings and madness going on everywhere. And although that is happening, there are still good things going on that can promote peace and love as well. So,
right.
see, I'm getting bored up again.
Yeah, yeah. But it's all the way. At the end of the day, they can say whatever they want to say. It's about ratings, and I understand that you need to make money. I understand that, but that's when it goes to like the moral dilemma. Are you going to just do this for money, or are you going to really try to inform the public? Now, there are people who try to do good, but a lot of times the higher ups, that's when they and the higher ups clash a lot. The people who actually try to tell the truth and do good, you know?
Right, because it's like they it's like basically good versus evil. It's
Yeah,
they want
literally.
and nowadays I'm starting to notice that that is what this world is turning to. It's basically light versus dark, good versus evil,
Yeah,
and good versus bad. So you know what I'm trying to say?
yep.
So it's I don't even know. I'm just I just want my family and stuff to be safe, and I just want to live comfortably and peacefully, but it just seems as if that is too much to ask for.
Yeah, yeah, man. I feel you.
Um, so like what what how long have you been living in Atlanta?
Uh, about a year and a half, a little bit
Okay,
longer.
got you. You like it there?
It's I haven't really had a chance to like really do much just because I've been working basically 24/7 since I've been here.
Okay.
Just on my own stuff, just trying to get stuff done. But um, some days I do miss Florida, and I miss like the beaches,
Right.
so but whenever that time is, God wants me to move, then I'll go. I've moved 5 times in my life, so I don't have an issue with doing that.
You sound just like me. I'm just like I'm not afraid. A lot of my friends are like, "How do you just get up and go?" I'm like, "I just go. I just go."
Sometimes you have to.
No, for real, for real. So one of the questions I wrote down for you was, "Where do you see this world in 5 years?"
Man, I don't think we want to know. I don't
Ooh,
think we want to know, man. I honestly just don't. I see I see a big war happening, whether that's a civil war, World War III. So one of them is going to happen. I think that I think we're on the verge of that. Something is about to boil over. It may not be this year, may not be next year, but at some point, you know.
it's something heating up. I have this little saying I say with my friends. I'm like, it's a lot going on in the spirit realm.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, for sure. You could definitely feel something brewing and just the way people's hearts are nowadays.
yeah,
And it's getting crazy. Like kids nowadays are wild and not not saying that like kids aren't kids because in every generation kids are wild, but like now it's just like it's just whatever they want it to be. I can't even explain it. It's
now that's again, that's one of those Satan's devices is just be what you want to be, do what you want to do, and that's kind of how the world is now.
right. What if you could send one message to the world right now in terms of the way society is and just the way you view things? If you had one statement to give the world, what would that be?
um Probably pick up your cross and follow Christ. I feel like that is literally says in the Bible that is the way, and I think it's for a reason. That is the way toward enlightenment, is the way toward truth, and I really feel as though it will be something that allows people to come together and really achieve peace. And I hope that there is a day that happens, but the way things are going, I don't know.
Wow. I'm. Did you grow up in did you grow up in a family that went to church, or did you kind of find Christ on your own?
A little bit of both. So I did grow up in it, and but I felt like now I don't really as much follow religion. I'm
Same.
more so the church. I understand it, but I don't go, and I have my own reasons because I don't think a lot of them are actually preaching truth.
They're
First of
not.
all, and so I think that's an issue. I think a lot of them pander to the audience. A lot of them can't say what's going on in reality because they are 501c3s, and they can't. The preachers can't really speak out on stuff. I think that's an issue. Um, and too many hypocrites. And there's hypocrites in everything. But like, I don't think in God's house there's supposed to be a place where people feel uncomfortable. And to me, that's an issue. And people are going to try to argue with you and say, "Well, you go to your job and it's uncomfortable." Listen, that's something you do for a living. But why would I go? This is the place that professes to be God's house, but this is a place that people are uncomfortable in for whatever reason. That's not, to me. That's not God's house.
No, not at all.
That's Satan's house. That's what it actually is. And,
Exactly.
and so I don't listen to these people, like these religious spirits. What I do is just follow Christ, and that's where I've gotten my wisdom from. When I started, just read the Bible, man. A lot of people just don't do that, and they have all these excuses in the world because they just don't want to read. But when you actually read it and you study on it, meditate on it, your life will change.
Absolutely. I had a friend, and this is no disrespect, but like I've had this conversation with him as well, so I feel comfortable talking about it. So he tried to hit me with like one of those one liners that, well, the Bible says this, and I was like, where does it say that at? So he tells me where it says it at. So I go and I open it up and I read it. I'm like, and you know how in the Bible things are in quotations, which
Yeah,
means basically it's you have to look at it from a spiritual standpoint. I'm like, that doesn't literally mean that. That
yeah,
means like how you interpret it in your life, on your walk in the spirit. So
yeah.
just because it says one certain thing, you have to open up your eyes and your heart to perceive it in a way that fits you the best. So
Right.
yeah, I'm so thankful that I ended up getting to do this with you because it's really made me um know that there are people out there like myself that are on this walk, but I'm not alone.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it can before I even started that TikTok page and YouTube page, like that was me, like feeling like you're alone and nobody really relates to you. And then I started. What happened was, I think around 2022, I started going on YouTube a lot and just looking at different creators who started talking about chosen ones, and because I was like kind of in a mode where I was thirsting for knowledge, right?
Hmm.
And I started just picking up on a lot of what they were saying, and I'm like, yeah, this is me, this is me. And eventually I got to the point where I was like, I need to do my own thing too, because I have a lot to say about my own experiences. I feel like I've lived many different lives. So I think that's what kind of started it. Just trying to, once you do wake up and take those glasses off, and you see the world for how it is. It's like, man, who else sees it this way? And I
Right.
can't really deal with other people who don't see it that way now.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, just be quiet, like please. And like going off of what you said about just watching, because in I watch YouTube videos, and it's like it's like three voices that I really connect with. But I reached a moment where it was like, okay, I'm done consuming everything. It's time for
Yes.
me to do something else,
Right.
because I listened so much that it was just hard to like take anything in anymore.
Yeah. It's like
Hmm.
you can't at some point you have to create the content and stop, listening to it.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. I think this went very well, and I'm excited. This is totally different than the first interview that I did, but I think that this is going to really make a statement in terms of what's really going on. Like
yeah,
it's not all rainbows and sunshine how people see it. This is real life, and these are real people on a real walk that are speaking the truth. So
yeah.
I thank you for your time, and I um, wish you the best.
Well, thank you for inviting me on, and I
Absolutely,
appreciate you.
absolutely. I hope to talk to you again soon.
Definitely, definitely. And we're still recording.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna end it. I'm gonna end it. Anything else you want to say before we get off?
Oh no, that was it.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna end it.